I wanted to record this intro more for me than for you. Today's video has obviously been delayed, and that is because when I went to shoot it this week, I forgot to record the audio on half of the video. The only audio that I have, because I forgot to turn on the main mic, the only audio that I have is from what's called scratch audio, which is from the camera, the Fuji camera, and that sounds just terrible. There's hiss in it, there's reverb problems, so I've been doing everything I can do to try and get it fixed, but it's just this rabbit hole of taking more and more time, and that's why I'm delayed this morning, which right now it's 6:25 in the morning. So that's the first thing. One of the biggest obstacles to being a creative is that of just paralysis in overthinking things, trying too hard to be perfect. And the reason is, I hate to say it, but this new studio, this redesign that I've done, which I cannot wait to show you, it's also raised the bar of my expectation of having better quality videos, better sounding audio, a more polished production, and so forth. And that has sort of stressed me out. I guess what I just need to do is this. If you don't mind, if you could just kind of just relax for just a second, I need to talk to myself. Hey, your audience is going to forgive you. They don't care. They're here to see you and your teaching. So it's no big deal if you screw the audio up once in a while. Just don't do it all the time, but once in a while is fine. It's okay. Problem I had a little bit, I'm not... So what you want to do is you bring this on your... So what you want to do... And so just get it done, close this thing out, finish your edit, get this published so your audience has another great video from you. And if the audio's not perfect, it's all right. It'll be just fine. Done over perfect. You got that? Chill out. Hi everyone, and welcome to Pal to Tech. Getting your colors accurate is an important part of photography, especially if you're shooting in JPEG and you want to get those film simulations on Fujifilm cameras to look their absolute best. So what is a color chart anyway? Well, a color chart is a reference tool that consists of a series of swatches right on the chart itself that range from primary to secondary colors, and usually they will also include skin tones. When you take a photo or you shoot a video, your camera may not capture the colors accurately for two reasons: the lighting conditions or the camera settings. The color checker chart provides a reference point for you to adjust the colors in post-processing. By comparing the colors in your image and video with the swatches on the chart, you can correct for any color shifting or imbalances that could occur. So basically, these little things offer you both speed and consistency. So for today's video, the color chart I'll be showing you is this one right here, the Datacolor Spyder Checkr Photo. However, keep in mind that there are other brands as well, in particular the Calibration ColorChecker Passport Photo, which also works very well. So a quick disclaimer to get out of the way. There is no disclaimer to get out of the way. I bought this thing myself. Case closed. Nobody asked me to make this video, and well, let's move on. So basically it works like this. You bring this thing to your shoot. You hand it to your subject, they open it up, you tell them not to touch the squares, they hold it just like this, okay, under the same lighting conditions with the camera and the lens that you're gonna use, and then take your reference photo. And then just go ahead and shoot all your photos. However, if you change cameras, or you significantly change lighting, or perhaps even lenses, then you should take another reference photo. One thing to be careful of: don't have them do this or this. That would make me very mad, bad, and sad. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to show you a problem that I ran into in a little bit. What better assistant than this stormtrooper right here? You already know that a stormtrooper should look nice and brilliant and white, okay? That's the color of a stormtrooper. So I took a reference photo of the chart, and then I used two separate cameras. I used a Fujifilm X-T5, and I used a Canon. I wanted to test it with both. And the idea here is that suppose you have a second shooter, and they're using a different camera brand. You want to be able to match those up as best you can. So now you're in Lightroom. The very first thing you're going to want to do is crop into the color chart. I'm going to go ahead and crop in Next, we are going to set our white balance. And what you do there is you click on the white balance eyedropper, and I have found that you get the best results by clicking on the very center white tile. This one right here with the eyedropper. This is the neutral gray. Have a look at that. That looks 1,000 times better. And you could just stop right there and copy those settings across all your photos. But we're going to continue. Next, we are going to set our tonal range from white to black. First, you want to make sure that Show Color Lab Values is unchecked. Hover your mouse over your histogram right here and right click and undo Show Lab Color Values. In other words, you don't want to have a check there. It should be blank. Once you've done that, hover your mouse over the top white square right here and have a look at the value. It should be about 90%. But if you need to adjust it, you can use the white slider. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it up just a little bit right here and check it again. That's pretty good. That's about 90% roughly. You kind of want to move the mouse around the color square a little bit and kind of get an average of what it is. It should be 90%. Next, we go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and that is the black square at the bottom right here. Now that one should read anywhere between 5% and 10%. I generally like to get it between 8% and 10%. And as I hover over it right here, I really don't need to make any adjustments because it's already within that range. But if I did, I would simply move the black slider and then check it, see what it is, and then try and adjust the black slider up or down until I get that value between 5 and 10%. So right now at this point, we've got our white balance set and we've got our tonal ranges set. And you could at this point just copy those across all of your images. For example, click on the reference one and select the images you want to apply it to right here. You see that? Click on Sync Settings. And what you're going to want to be syncing, obviously, is everything in basic, plus the tone curve and the color. Click on Synchronize. Have a look at that. Did you see that? Just look at the before and after of this shot. And the only thing we did was use this to correct the white balance. That was it. That's all I did. We haven't even created a color profile yet, which we're going to do now. So going back to your chart, the very next thing you're going to do is you're going to export this image of your color chart out of Lightroom and into the special software that comes with this thing. And the way you do that is you right click and select Edit in Spyder Checkr App. If you do not see Spyder Checkr App in this menu, right? If it's not there, you need to go up to Lightroom's Preferences and click on External Editing, this little tab right here, and make sure that the preset under Additional External Editor is set to Spyder Check Editing. Assuming it is, you should be able to go back into your image, right click, edit in, and you'll see it right there. Let's go ahead and choose that right now. You can go ahead and accept the default value of edit a copy. Click on edit. That is going to open up the Spyder Checkr software. And here we go. And what it shows you is basically your color referenced image with some little reference points over it. Do you see them right here? And what you do is you kind of hover your mouse over the top area and reposition this so that it's over the chart. You see that right there? Just like that. Ideally, you're going to want to put the reference dot in the middle of the square. In the meantime, this looks good right here. And you'll notice there are 3 different modes: saturation, colorimetric, and portrait. Each one of them gives you a slightly different look. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but the one you want to go with is saturation if you're just starting out. And click on Save Calibration. Now here is where you're going to name your new Lightroom custom profile. And keep in mind when you're naming this, that this is only to be used under the lighting conditions that you shot this image in, and also the camera that you used as well. If you use 2 different cameras, you should ideally have 2 of these things. And if you change up the lighting conditions for the next, series of shots, you should have a separate plugin for that as well. I'm going to call this XT5 Scene 1 for lack of a better term, and then go ahead and quit out of the software. Now, very important, you have to see it appear in your custom presets, and you won't see it there initially because you have to quit Lightroom and then reopen it. Let's do that now. And what you want to do is once you open it up, you still won't see it there. You need to wait a second. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. There it goes. Whoa, did you see that? Let me roll it back. Have a look at this. This means that Lightroom found it, it did whatever it needs to do on the software end, and now it appears under your user presets. You see it right there? And keep in mind, you only have to do this once. Once you have it in presets, it will stay there and it'll be there every time you open Lightroom. So basically, here's my image. I'm gonna go ahead and apply the X-T5 Scene 1 that I had created. Have a look at the before and the after. And I don't know if you can see this on your monitor, but Gear Iguana's green color is slightly more olive. Again, more true to what Gear Iguana looks like in real life. Now, obviously, correcting the white balance is a major deal, and it's pretty obvious the change. Applying the preset for the color chart is a little bit less obvious. It's a little bit less noticeable, but it does matter. Now, where it really matters the most is if you're shooting with two different cameras and you want to get those as close as possible. So check this out. The image on the left was shot with a Fujifilm X-T5. The image on the right was shot with a Canon 80D. Now, I specifically changed the color balance on the Canon to be way off. I set it to 2500 Kelvin. And on the Fujifilm X-T5, I set my color balance way off as well. So we've got two different camera brands with two very different white balance settings applied. Let's see what we can do to fix it. I'm not going to go through selecting the squares and doing all that. We already did that. So first, I'm going to select the color reference photo I shot with the X-T5. And I'm going to apply it to the portrait of the Stormtrooper, also shot with the X-T5. Again, I'm copying over. Boom. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna now apply my custom X-T5 Scene 1 preset that I had made earlier. Okay, there's my final photo. Now let's edit the Canon. Like the X-T5, I shot a color chart on the Canon. And you can see the white balance is way off here. Just like before, I'm gonna go ahead and drag in, crop, select my color dropper, choose the middle square, boom, hover over the top white square. It looks 90, that's perfect. Hover over the bottom square. That looks like it could be brought up a little more. So I'm going to increase the blacks. Once I've adjusted my tonal range, I am now going to export it into that special software. Again, like before, I need to line up these little chips so that they are as close as I can get it to the center of the squares. I'll go ahead and save the calibration, and I'll call it Canon Scene 1. And like before, I need to quit Lightroom and restart it. Okay, there it is right there. So like before, I'm going to copy over my white balance adjustments first, selecting my color chart, and then selecting the Canon image and clicking on Sync. And look at that, already the Canon image looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and apply that. Here are the two photos shot side by side with different cameras, originally with completely different white balance settings. And we were able to get them pretty close together. So the question of the day is, do you need one of these? In a number of cases, no, not really. What you could do is select the white balance eyedropper tool and then just pick a neutral area of the scene, right? That can certainly work. However, for drop dead accuracy and consistency between all of your different lighting conditions, perhaps separate camera brands, things like that, nothing will beat a color chart. Now, I've not gone into all the specifics of this particular brand of color chart. For example, I didn't talk about the gray section at all. So the question is, do I prefer the Datacolor better or the X-Rite better? Honestly, there's things I like about both of them. For example, the Datacolor, I love that you can change out these and switch them around and customize it. That's a nice touch. I also like the way this opens ergonomically. There's a nice button here. Boom, you press it and it flips out. It is also a little bit smaller, and it overall, I like the feel of it better. However, on the X-Rite, I do like having one big white balance checker right here, which makes it very handy. And I also like having these little markings at the bottom for what I do with checking lens focus and things like that. These are very, very handy to have. The areas at the bottom of the Datacolor are pretty much blank. I'm not a huge fan of the software that comes with this one. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, for example, here is a reference photo I took at the beginning of the shoot. Obviously, it's at an angle, and it's not a very good reference photo at all. As I said before, you're gonna wanna have these perfectly straight and close up to it. However, sometimes in life, maybe your subject didn't hold it or there was an issue, and this is the best you have, right? So if I go to crop in, just like this, and I go to rotate it, and even if I go into the transform tool and try and just fix it a little bit, let me fix the white balance, that's driving me crazy. Much better. Now if I go and try and export this to the software, watch what happens. Right click, edit in, Spyder Checkr app, boom, up comes the app. The problem is the limited movability of these little reference points. I try and move these down here. I try and move it over to there, okay? But look, there's no way that I could make, if I try and make it smaller, it'll kind of work, but there's no way to rotate this or to skew it, to try, or to, the best solution would be to individually be able to move each one of those and put them right over the square, or to use some kind of a dropper, boom, 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 to do it like that. You can't do it. And in fact, my original set of photos that I shot for this video, where I had that as my reference, I had to scrap that and redo it because I didn't have a perfectly straight shot of the reference chart. And if this had been a real shoot and I was out and I, for whatever reason, I wasn't paying attention and the model didn't hold it right and I didn't check it, this is too particular. It shouldn't be this difficult to get these little reference points over the squares. At least that's my opinion and that's my recommendation. I would say hold off on this one until they fix this issue. Now, the last thing I want to say is that, do you really need to spend $100 to get a good color balance reference for your photos? No, you don't. All you need is a white piece of paper, okay? Let me show you a very basic thing you should know if you're a Fujifilm shooter. Here's the before picture, just FYI, and go to where the little 1, 2, and 3 are, select custom, and you'll have a white rectangle. You see that outline right there? Get a white piece of paper, put it approximately as close as you can to where the light is gonna be falling on your subject, boom, and there you go, completed. Okay to set, and take your shot. And there you go. Look at the difference between these two photos. It's significant, and the only thing you needed was a piece of white paper. However, I love color charts. I use them all the time in all kinds of things. So if you haven't gotten on board with one yet, you might want to check it out. I will have links down below where you can see a few of them, including this one, which, as I said earlier, this is a great color chart. The one issue that I have is the software, and that issue really only comes into play if you're not holding this thing, you know, perfectly straight, or if it's in an angle like that. You know, as long as you remember that, then this one works great. So they're both great. Oh, hi there. Pal the Tech Editor here. I had to interrupt, I'm so sorry, but there is something I left out from the video you're now watching that is really important. Probably one of the more important things I could have mentioned. Let me show you what I mean. Now, while it is awesome that you can use this to white balance and reference your photos and set up presets and things like that, none of that means anything if your monitors are not calibrated. Different monitors can display different colors differently. What might look great on my monitor may not look so great on yours. And how do all these different monitors all know what the correct shade of red is? You want to have your colors matching all the way through the process, from the time you shoot until the time you export out of your computer. And so it's a matter of using one of these devices that takes 10 minutes and correctly calibrates your monitor so that you have the correct exact colors matching perfectly. And you need to do this about once every 6 months. If you would like me to show you how to use one of these things, let me know and I'll be more than happy to. It is really important. I probably should have mentioned it in the main video. And this also equally applies to shooting video clips as well. Anyhow, thanks for listening. I gotta go now edit the video you're about to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I am gonna be signing off now, but have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in a new video next week. Take care.